There's a moment when a woman looks at you a certain way, and something shifts in the atmosphere. You feel that electric tension, that charged silence where words are unnecessary, that magnetic connection that transcends logic. Your heart races, time seems to stop, and you know perfectly well that something primitive and powerful has just awakened between you. Most men immediately break that magical moment. They talk too much, try to impress with fabricated achievements, seek constant validation, show desperation to please. They appear confident on the surface, but their body language screams insecurity. They become clowns, salesmen, supplicants, everything but what she's actually looking for. Because in that precise instant, they lose all the power of attraction they might have had. The moment you try to prove your worth is exactly when you demonstrate that you don't have it. By seeking her approval, you hand over complete control of the dynamic, and that control, once surrendered, never willingly returns to your hands. In the next few minutes, I'll reveal exactly what every woman looks for in a man on a deep psychological level. You'll understand the fundamental mistake you make unknowingly that destroys your attractiveness. You'll discover a specific technique applied in 3 different contexts that completely transforms how you're perceived. And finally, the complete system that awakens irresistible and genuine attraction in her. Because here's the truth no one dares to tell you. He who pursues, repels. He who attracts, conquers. If this has already awakened something in you, hit like now and join me. Think of the monster as a metaphor, not the monster from childhood nightmares or horror movies. I'm talking about the monster in its original, profound sense, the creature that transcends the ordinary, possessing abilities beyond the common, inspiring awe and reverence. That latent power we all carry within, but few dare to unleash. It is precisely that inner monster that every woman seeks in a man, even if she herself cannot consciously articulate it. Let me explain exactly why this happens. Most men make a critical mistake that destroys their attractiveness before they even open their mouths. It's not what they specifically say or do, but a fundamental mindset that contaminates all their interactions. They believe women are primarily attracted to what a man can outwardly display: physique, money, visible social status, superficial charm. They buy expensive clothes thinking it will generate attraction. They brag about their possessions on social media. They casually mention their achievements in conversations. They acquire watches or cars as compensatory extensions, all while desperately searching for signs of approval in women's eyes. They operate from a perpetual scarcity mindset, where every woman is an opportunity that might slip away. The strategic man understands a different truth. He knows that what generates deep attraction is not what's visible, but what's unconsciously perceived. It's not the muscles, but the quiet confidence that needs no validation. It's not the car, but the inner certainty that his worth doesn't depend on others' opinions. It's not expensive clothes, but the mystery of someone who seems complete in himself. Why does this happen on a deep level? Evolutionary psychology gives us clear answers. For thousands of years, women developed an extraordinary sensitivity to detect authentic value in potential partners. In hostile environments where survival depended on correct decisions, those who could distinguish between a genuine protector and a false one passed that discernment on to their descendants. It's like an ultra-sensitive biological lie detector. Imagine a device so sophisticated that it not only detects verbal lies but subtle inconsistencies between what you say and who you really are. That's what every woman has installed from birth. She can detect insecurity disguised as arrogance in microseconds. She perceives desperation hidden behind confident smiles. She senses a need for approval hidden behind impressive stories. The ordinary man tries to project an image based on what he thinks will attract a woman. He speaks louder, exaggerates stories, dominates conversations. The result? She politely smiles while her interest fades. The authentically powerful man simply exists in his own truth. He speaks less, observes more, doesn't need to impress. The result? She leans forward, asks questions, seeks his attention. Have you ever found yourself talking too much on a date, feeling that every silence needs to be filled with another story? Or have you experienced that moment where you find yourself subtly changing your opinions to align with hers? Perhaps you recognize that feeling of constantly checking her reactions, adjusting your behavior based on her response, or that strange need to mention achievements or possessions you wouldn't normally bring up, even that urge to criticize other men in front of her. trying to elevate yourself by comparison. It's like an actor who can never relax on stage. Imagine constantly living by the script, evaluating every line before you utter it, fearing you'll make a mistake, feeling the audience might boo you at any moment. That perpetual tension is precisely what kills any natural attraction. The common man believes he needs to earn the right to be with a beautiful woman. The magnetic man knows his presence is a gift that must be earned. The most devastating thing is the invisible cost of this dynamic. Every time you present yourself as less than who you truly are, every occasion where you seek external validation, you're eroding your own confidence from within. It's not just that she perceives your insecurity. You're internally reinforcing that you're not enough. You create a destructive cycle where every interaction weakens you further. The ordinary man ends the day emotionally exhausted after interacting with women because maintaining a facade consumes energy. The magnetic man ends the day energized because existing authentically unleashes personal power. But identifying the problem is just the beginning. Now I'm going to show you exactly how to transform this dynamic with a specific method you can apply immediately in any interaction. The core technique that awakens this deep attraction is called unconditional magnetic presence. It's not a superficial tactic, but a state of being that manifests in concrete steps. First, you anchor your attention completely in the present moment, eliminating concerns about impressing or achieving outcomes. This creates a palpable field of calm that she immediately perceives as different. You'll notice how her curiosity is activated when she senses someone who isn't desperate for her attention. Then, you maintain your emotional center independent of her reactions, neither rising with her approval nor sinking with her disinterest. The result is a stability that proves magnetic in a world of emotionally reactive men. Finally, you allow tension to build in the space between you, without trying to resolve it prematurely with words or gestures. He who pursues is pursued. He who remains attracts. Imagine you're at a bar or restaurant. You see an attractive woman and approach to start a conversation. Most approach with barely disguised nervous energy, body slightly leaning forward, an overly wide smile, eyes constantly seeking approval. They speak quickly, ask superficial questions one after another, laugh excessively. They seem friendly, but they transmit a subliminal message. Please accept me. She responds politely, but her answers progressively become shorter. Her body slightly turns in another direction. The conversation slowly dies. You, however, approach with measured steps, posture straight yet relaxed. You maintain calm eye contact, neither intimidating nor pleading. You start a conversation with a genuine observation about something you noticed, without pretense. You speak at a deliberate pace, comfortable with silences. You don't try to impress or fill every second. You ask questions because you're genuinely interested in the answer, not as a strategy. When she speaks, you listen completely, without planning your next interjection. If something doesn't seem interesting to you, you express it honestly without being rude. The difference is immediate. She leans toward you. Her answers become longer, more personal. She asks questions to get to know you better. The conversation flows naturally to deeper topics. Because you don't pursue, she advances. He who needs approval repels. He who fully exists magnetizes. This same dynamic works in established relationships. Think of that couple where you feel you must constantly please, where every disagreement generates anxiety, where you fear expressing your true opinions or needs. You find yourself making plans you don't want, watching movies you don't enjoy, visiting places that don't interest you, just to keep her happy, just not to lose her. The transformed version: you express your preferences clearly, but without imposition. I prefer this restaurant, but I'm open to your suggestion. Not as an ultimatum, but as an authentic expression. When disagreement arises, you don't fall apart or become defensive. You remain calm while listening to her perspective. If she chooses to be upset, you don't panic or beg for forgiveness for something you didn't do wrong. You give her space for her emotions without feeling responsible for solving them. The result seems counterintuitive for many men. She feels more secure, more attracted, more connected. Because unconsciously, every woman seeks someone who represents emotional stability, not someone who falls apart at her first frown. When you fear losing her, you lose her. When you are willing to lose her, you gain her. In the digital context, where so many interactions begin today, the principles are dramatically amplified. The common man sends messages constantly, responds instantly, uses excessive emojis, writes lengthy paragraphs, double texts if he doesn't receive a reply. His app profile is designed to impress with carefully crafted photos and descriptions meant to demonstrate value. The magnetic man maintains quality communication over quantity. He responds when he can truly be present, not out of obligation. His messages are concise yet impactful. He doesn't feel the need to maintain artificial conversation. His profile genuinely shows who he is, not who he thinks he should be to attract. He doesn't use match validation as a source of self-esteem. When she doesn't respond, the ordinary man sends follow-up. Everything okay? Still there? Did I say something wrong? The centered man simply continues with his life. If she gets back in touch, perfect. If not, equally perfect. But be aware, there are 3 common errors when applying this approach. The first is confusing magnetic presence with manufactured indifference. Many try to feign disinterest as a tactic, artificially delaying responses or deliberately acting cold. This happens when you try to project an image instead of cultivating a genuine internal state. The result? She detects the incongruence immediately. The correction: develop true emotional self-sufficiency instead of simulating it. Second error: oscillating between extremes. One moment you're completely detached, the next you become intensely attentive when you receive positive signals. This inconsistency reveals that your emotional center depends on her response. To avoid this, maintain stability regardless of her behavior, especially when she shows interest. Third error: the most subtle, believing that this approach means not showing vulnerability or emotion. This misunderstanding leads many to adopt a permanent stoic mask. Magnetic presence doesn't mean an absence of deep feelings. On the contrary, it allows you to express authentic emotions from a place of security, not from need. If you detect that you're suppressing your true personality, recalibrate towards authenticity, not repression. This works perfectly on a technical level, but there's a deeper understanding that completely transforms how we understand feminine attraction. The counterintuitive truth that few men understand is this: what every woman unconsciously seeks is not a perfect man, but a man who fully contains and accepts his own darkness. She doesn't seek someone without flaws or shadows, but rather someone who has fully integrated all aspects of his masculinity, including those that modern society tries to suppress. From childhood, we're taught to be good boys. We're told we must control aggressive impulses, eliminate dominant desires, suppress our competitive nature, hide our ambitions for power, that we must be kind at all times, compliant, always considerate, perpetually understanding. But when we observe more deeply, we notice something strange. The same women who verbally support this domesticated masculine ideal rarely feel attracted to men who perfectly embody it. The good boy, who does everything correctly according to these modern rules, frequently ends up as a friend, confidant, or spectator, while she feels magnetically drawn to men who keep their primal nature intact. And this is where most stop thinking, erroneously concluding that women only want jerks, or that there's some fundamental contradiction in female psychology. The reality is much deeper. What every woman seeks is a man who has fully integrated his nature, both his capacity for kindness, protection, and consideration, as well as his primitive power, his unstoppable ambition, his unwavering certainty, and his ability to set unbreachable boundaries. They seek the monster domesticated by choice, not out of incapacity or fear. The story of Beauty and the Beast didn't become a universal archetype by chance. It represents a fundamental psychological truth. The woman doesn't fall in love when the beast transforms into a conventional prince, but during the process where she recognizes that the beast contains both primitive power and a capacity for tenderness. The attraction isn't in the complete transformation, but in the integration of both aspects. Have you noticed how the same women who criticize certain traditional masculine behaviors are deeply attracted to men who retain those qualities while adding the capacity for connection? Or how those who verbally champion the modern sensitive man frequently end up in relationships with men who possess clear direction and certainty? Observe any genuinely passionate and lasting relationship, and you'll find a man who has found this internal balance. It's like a perfectly tuned musical instrument. A violin with strings too loose produces no music, only indistinct noise. One with strings too tight breaks at the first touch. The instrument that produces transformative music has the exact tension. No more, no less. That perfectly calibrated internal tension is what she unconsciously perceives, what resonates on a primal level with her deepest nature. When a man fully integrates his inner monster, he doesn't need to brag about his power. It manifests naturally in every gesture, every word, every silence. He doesn't need to dominate conversations because his presence already communicates strength. He isn't afraid to show consideration because it stems from conscious choice, not weakness. He doesn't constantly seek approval because his validation comes from within. He who suppresses his nature repels. He who integrates it inevitably attracts. How does this integration manifest in practice? When you master this balance, you naturally maintain calm eye contact without intimidating or pleading. You don't feel the urge to fill silences with empty words. People perceive a self-assurance they cannot rationally explain. Situations that once caused you anxiety now seem like opportunities to express your truth. And most importantly, you experience an inner freedom that transcends any technique or strategy. The ordinary man acts from fear of rejection. The magnetic man acts from the certainty of his own worth. The master acts from complete acceptance of all his facets, including those that modern society tries to domesticate. Now that you understand this fundamental truth, let's transform it into a complete system you can implement immediately. I'll give you 3 specific tools that, together, awaken this deep attraction every woman unconsciously seeks. The first tool is called unshakable presence. It consists of developing your ability to maintain complete mental and emotional presence under any circumstance. You use this specifically when you feel the urge to seek validation, when you notice growing anxiety in social interaction, or when you find yourself trying to impress. It works like this in detail. First, you internally recognize when you're leaving presence: accelerated breathing, rapid speech, scattered thoughts. Next, you anchor your attention on immediate physical sensations: feet on the ground, breath, body temperature, for 3 complete breaths. Finally, you reorient your intention from achieving a result towards fully experiencing this moment. For example, when an attractive woman says something challenging or ambiguous, instead of anxiously responding with, "What do you mean by that?" or laughing nervously, you simply maintain calm eye contact and reply, "Interesting perspective. Tell me more about that." The immediate effect is a shift in the energetic dynamic, where she feels curiosity instead of control. In the following minutes, you'll notice she starts to invest more in the interaction. The second tool is conscious polarity. This is your ability to clearly express your desires, opinions, and direction without needing external approval. You use it when you notice a tendency to dilute your preferences, when you find yourself saying whatever you want by default, or in moments where you fear creating necessary tension. You implement it by first recognizing what you genuinely desire without filters of complacence. You express that truth directly, but without aggressiveness. "I prefer this restaurant," instead of "Where do you want to go?" "Anywhere is fine." You calmly maintain your position in the face of resistance without making it personal. Finally, you allow her to have her reaction without feeling responsible for fixing it. In practical application, when planning a date, instead of vague options, "What would you like to do?" you offer clear direction. "I'll meet you Thursday at 8 at La Cantina. They have the best mezcals in the city." If she can't, you simply offer an equally defined alternative. This clarity is surprisingly attractive in a world where most men fear taking a definite stance. The third tool is expansive emotional containment. This is your ability to fully experience your emotions without being controlled by them, and to create space where others can experience theirs without attempting to prematurely resolve them. You use it especially in moments of emotional tension, during disagreements, or when she expresses intense emotions. Implementation. You internally recognize your own emotions without judgment. "I feel frustration now." You allow them to exist without impulsively acting on them or artificially suppressing them. When she expresses emotions, you resist the immediate urge to solve, minimize, or amplify. You simply offer complete presence while maintaining your center. In a concrete situation, she expresses annoyance about something you did or said. Instead of immediately defending yourself or apologizing excessively, you respond, "I understand you're upset. Tell me more about how you feel." No rush to resolve, no panic about her disapproval. This ability to remain solid during emotional storms communicates a confidence that is profoundly attractive on a primal level. He who seeks to resolve all tension weakens. He who contains all tension magnetizes. Now I'm going to give you a specific plan for the next 7 days that will completely transform your dynamic with women. For the first 2 days, your sole focus will be on implementing unshakable presence. Don't try to do everything at once, just this. Every time you notice social anxiety, an urge to impress, or a search for validation, and this will happen at least 5 times in these 2 days, apply the anchoring in immediate physical sensations for 3 complete breaths. No matter the context, direct interaction, messages, social media, any. What you'll notice, initial resistance on the first day, as if you're abandoning a necessary strategy, discomfort in remaining silent where you previously would have filled spaces. You'll feel strangely vulnerable initially, this is normal. But after applying the anchor 5 or 6 times, you'll experience moments of surprising clarity. Women will respond with increased curiosity. Pay special attention to how their questions change, becoming more personal. Days 3 and 4, you add conscious polarity while maintaining the first tool. Now you implement 2 tools simultaneously. When an opportunity arises to express preference or direction, you not only maintain inner presence, but you also express clarity without diluting your desires. The combination creates a magnetic congruence they rarely experience in other men. Here the game visibly changes because she starts responding to your direction instead of you following hers. You'll notice less inner need to justify your preferences, greater comfort with potential disagreements, and primarily more defined feminine responses, both positive and negative. If you feel discomfort when receiving direct rejection, it's a sign that you're implementing correctly. Adjust your expression if it sounds like an order instead of clear direction. Days 5, 6, and 7 are for refining and integrating expansive emotional containment. Now you operate with the complete system. Emotional tension situation, unshakable presence as the foundation, need to express direction, conscious polarity from a stable center. When she expresses intense emotions, expansive containment without prematurely resolving. Specifically observe how your tolerance for emotional tension changes, how you stop feeling responsible for her emotional states, how interactions naturally acquire depth. Adjust your verbal expression based on genuine responses, not fabricated ones. If you notice you're acting out any of these tools, it means you're forcing rather than organically incorporating. At this point, you'll begin to feel an inner freedom that transcends specific techniques. It's not imagination. It's the measurable result of freeing up energy previously spent on maintaining social masks. And this is just the beginning. But pay close attention now, because there are 3 critical errors that can destroy all this work in seconds. Error number 1. Confusing authentic attractiveness with tactical manipulation. It seems subtle, but it's fundamentally different. It occurs when you implement these tools as techniques to get women rather than as expressions of your genuine personal development. The unmistakable sign: you feel dishonest during implementation. Immediate consequence: incongruence that she detects seems instantly. Long-term consequence: reinforcement of limiting beliefs about relationships as transactions. The precise correction: implement these tools first when you're alone, then with close friends, finally in romantic contexts. Error 2. Abandoning the system after the first rejection. Many implement correctly, experience inevitable rejection, which simply means incompatibility, not failure, and erroneously conclude that it doesn't work. This interpretation reveals that they are still operating from a scarcity mindset where every rejection seems catastrophic. To avoid this, commit to full implementation for 30 days without specific expectations of individual results, focusing on personal transformation, independent of external reactions. Error 3, the most destructive. Believing these tools primarily serve for initial attraction, neglecting them in established relationships. This subtle error leads many men to effectively conquer only to then lose connection by abandoning precisely what generated initial attraction. If you notice yourself abandoning your center, ceasing to express clear direction, or anxiously trying to resolve tensions in an established relationship, immediately recalibrate towards consistent implementation, regardless of relationship duration. And before I finish, I want to synthesize the 4 fundamental pillars that now define your new way of interacting with women. First pillar: understand that any desperate pursuit of female validation destroys precisely what you're trying to create, generating a cycle where the more you try to impress, the less you impress. Second pillar: implement genuine magnetic presence through immediate physical anchoring. clear expression of undiluted preferences, and the ability to contain emotional tension without prematurely resolving it. Third pillar, fully integrate your primordial masculine nature with your evolved capacities, recognizing that what every woman seeks is not domesticated perfection, but conscious power. Fourth pillar, maintain systematic implementation, where unshakable presence creates the foundation, conscious polarity provides direction, and emotional containment generates a depth that few men offer. These four pillars are not abstract psychological theory. They are practical architecture for magnetic personal power. The integrated monster attracts, the suppressed monster repels. Now comes your immediate challenge, and it begins right now. In the next 24 hours, a situation will occur where you will instinctively seek external validation. It could be a conversation with an attractive woman, social media interaction, or even a work meeting where you feel the urge to impress. But it will inevitably happen. When it happens, and you'll know exactly when because you'll feel your heart race and a slight anticipatory anxiety, I want you to specifically implement the unshakable presence tool by physically anchoring yourself for 3 complete breaths. No diluted or approximate version. Exactly as I explained. You don't need to announce that you're trying something new. It requires no external explanation. Simply internally recognize the urge to seek validation. Anchor your attention on immediate physical sensations and respond from complete presence instead of need. When you implement this, 3 things will happen. You'll notice surprising mental clarity where anxiety once was. You'll experience a sense of expanded time where every second seems to contain more space, and you'll observe an immediate change in interpersonal dynamics where others respond to your presence differently. This is your decisive moment. Your real proof that this is not abstract theory, but immediately implementable practical reality. And after experiencing it, come back here and comment specifically on what change you noticed in yourself, not so much in the external response. And comment exactly this, word for word. The integrated monster, not suppressed. This isn't just a simple comment. It's a declaration of intent. It shows that you didn't just consume 28 minutes of content, but that you understood the transformative essence, that you're not part of the majority who passively listens and immediately forgets. You are part of the integrated, men who understand that authentic power comes from conscious integration, not from suppression or compensation. This is our code, our signal of mutual recognition. I will read every comment personally, and I will know exactly who understood the essence and who merely skimmed the surface. And since you've made it to the end, I must confess something important. There's an aspect of masculine power that I intentionally didn't mention today. In the next video, I'll reveal the principle of energetic transmutation, the ability to channel your primordial nature into creation instead of pursuit. It involves a specific practice that completely transforms how you manage your vital energy, and it explains why the most magnetic men are rarely actively searching, because they've completely redefined the dynamic. But that's a topic for our next conversation. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. The next video comes out in exactly 7 days. Remember the monster we talked about at the beginning. It's no accident that ancient stories show the hero confronting the monster only to later discover that he must integrate it, not destroy it. Now you understand. It's not about suppressing your nature to please modern expectations. It's about fully integrating all your aspects, both your primordial power and your capacity for conscious connection. You don't need to choose between being good or being powerful. Your magnetic attractiveness emerges precisely when both coexist in dynamic balance. And when you fully integrate your inner monster, the world responds not with fear, but with magnetic fascination. Because what she seeks is not perfection, it's your complete authenticity.